And talking to you or
Yeah.
to the camera?
For me.
To you. That's fine. Lovely. I'll give you a little lecture.
Yes, just like this.
Certainly we are in what we call a VUCA environment at the moment. High velocity, high uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. That's the buzzword at the moment, VUCA. It's deeply stressful because everything seems to be changing at the same time. What we need to acknowledge is, first of all, that we are in a state of high change and it is not going to slow down. It's never going to go back to the old days, sadly, but that's the way of the world. Also, perhaps the world was always moving fast, but we weren't as aware of what was happening. Now we're all connected, we know exactly to the microsecond when the price of oil goes down or when it goes up. So in many ways our technology, our communication is leading to people knowing more and therefore having to react faster. But probably the world is still as turbulent and as VUCA as it has ever been. So I talk about 4 different types of change. This is some work that was done by a professor called Dr. Eddie Obeng about 15 years ago. He's a friend of mine, a fellow change manager. And I'd like to take you through his model of what change is about. Now, what he said was there are 2 basic things, what and how. Some changes you know what to do. There are some changes you don't know what to do. There are some changes you know how to deal with, and there are some changes you don't know how to deal with. So let's turn this into a 2x2 matrix. Okay, so let's take the first one. Let's take what he called fog. Fog is where you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to solve the problem. And it's like walking through fog. And if you're walking through fog and you don't know where the edges are, best advice is walk carefully and slowly and gently feel for edges, because that will give you an idea perhaps of where the path might be. But it's slow and it's frustrating, and it's okay to be in that situation sometimes. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to do it, move slowly. Don't grab the mobile phone. Don't make pronouncements about this is what we must do, because you could go straight off the edge of the cliff. So you move slowly and it's okay to be there. Now, the hope. The hope is you'll move into one of the other 2 boxes, first of all. The other 2 boxes, one is called quest and one is called making a movie. Now, quest. Quest is where you know what you want, you just don't know how to do it. So let me give you an example. I work with ethical drugs companies, so GlaxoSmithKline. At the moment, many of the drugs companies want to create a new antibiotic. So they know what they want a new antibiotic. What they don't know is how to make it. And so what they do is they go on a quest. They go out to jungles and places where people haven't been before, and they find bugs and trees and flowers, and they come back and they go into the laboratory and they look at the drugs in these strange species, like frog skin, believe it or not, is interesting for antibiotics. And eventually they find a frog that has this weird new chemical that could use as an antibiotic. And now they focus all of their attention on that type of frog. They do drugs trials, they test the efficacy of the drug, and then, whoa, perhaps we've got a new antibiotic. So that's a quest. You're going out looking, you don't know how to do it, you just go out and hopefully you find it. The other type is what we call making a movie. This is where you know how to do it, you just don't know what to do. Now, he called it making a movie because Eddie had been looking at the movie business in Los Angeles, Hollywood. And he said, when you go to Hollywood, you say, I want to make a movie, all these people arrive and they know how to make movies. The best cameraman, the best sound man, the best actors, they all line up and they say, yeah, we're the best. We know how to make movies. We have a question from you, which is, what do you want us to do? And so he talked about the role of the director. Directors are people who take the script. Often they don't write the script, they take the script. And what they do is they get all these clever people and they direct them in a very strong way to make a certain sort of movie, a certain outcome. In business, these are strong business leaders, people that have a real idea about how they want it to look. A classic example, Steve Jobs, Apple. He said, get me all the clever people. They all arrive, they want to work for Apple, and they all say, you know, what do you want us to do? Well, I've got this dream of a phone that you can touch and it will all be, and so he had this vision. And he didn't know how to do it, but they did. And so making a movie, Steve Jobs, Apple. The last one is where you would like to be. And if you go from fog to either quest or movie, you will end up finally in this box. This is where you now know what you got to do and you know how to do it. And it's what we call painting by numbers. I'm no good at painting, but you can buy this piece of card and it has a drawing and it has numbers, and if you put the right paint in the right area with the right number, you don't have to be an artist. You end up with something that looks reasonable. You don't have to have any real skill to do it, but if you get the right paints, put them in the right place, you've got a painting. Ultimately, that's where you want to be in business, and that's where most business people want to be now. They want to say, I don't like all this chaos. I want to know what to do and how to do it. And I say, now, I can take you there, but we may have to start in a fog, and it's okay. We're going to move slowly. We're going to find some edges, and then hopefully we might be able to turn this either into a quest and then into painting by numbers, or perhaps more making a movie and then painting by numbers. It's a journey. And even when they get into painting by numbers, hey, they'll start doing it and the world will change again. And perhaps they now need to go on a new quest, or perhaps they need to go on a new movie. And that's the way of the world.